Hello, welcome. I will start this talk with a introduction of a game I am very I spent a lot of time with in my leisure. It's a chess game. Have you played chess at all? So what I have found is when you play a game of chess, the first five moves are often relaxed and possibly simple. They have this sort of initial way of starting the game in a way that is quite curious and quite a bit playful. And then it comes after 10 minutes or 10 moves more clearly that we find this game has become much more complex than initially it was. And this is because essentially the first move were quite trivial. It was very much we didn't have many options apart from moving pawns or knights or this sort of solution that are commonly prepared and planned. And gradually, when it comes to we have sort of occupied the center, which is something commonly we are doing to start our games, then we have many more opportunity to be attacked, and also we have many more opportunity to see potential vulnerability in our opponent's positions. And this sort of situation are what makes this game very challenging. And I'd like to compare it to our tasks in IT, where on the surface, when we start a task, whether it's meant to be simple or not, they often appear as quite trivial because we see them from a high level, I suppose. And then when we start to get inside the task, when we discover the expectation of each stakeholders, when we realize the possible technical debt that we are going to have to interact with, then suddenly this task appear much more like something challenging. Tonight, I'd like to talk about this challenge and how we can mitigate the risks for it. So let me share my screen. Here it is. So initially, we are going to discover a possibility. First of all, let me possibly introduce myself. Apologies. I am a web engineer with 2 decades of experience in e-commerce, and the last 8 years, I've studied headless and decoupled architecture in legacy environment. And I have observed a constant tension between improving performance and dealing with fragile, hard-to-change systems. The solution is not to rewrite or migrate, but rather I have come up with a plug-and-play strategy that strengthens the business and reduces its risks. At the start, every project always starts simply where we installed a system that seems to map well our business requirements, and the team is well prepared. They have already the skills to work with it, and really we all sort of have the documentation to start the system, create the server suitable for it, and then we commonly prepare a shopping list of modules for this system of 30 modules or so, and keep adding them one at a time. All this is often a situation that is quite smooth. And then we come to this phase where the customization of these modules and this the rendering of this system is the next activity. And within 6 months, it's commonly we are seeing nowadays system eShop going live. And this means this system have nowadays empowered our teams to help our businesses to have systems that sells online help them to create profitable activities to interact with their customers. But the next part after once the website is launched is often where the complexity is coming up to make the system grow old. We regularly, once a system is live, when we realize that there are fixes to have to create for some issues that are only appearing once the real traffic of the website is happening, or also we want to perform better than a competitor, and therefore we add a module and another. And for all these reasons, we tend to have the system that was initially very good and very performant to be old. And we find ourselves after several years where our system, the updates feel dangerous. The cost for the system has grown unpredictably. And a small change can take weeks now. So nobody really wants to touch the system. And I have realized most websites are built like a single machine. At first, they are efficient. Over time, every new feature is welded into the same machine. One change affects everything. The bugs are spreading, the tests have become slow, and the upgrades start to feel like a gamble. All this down to this complexity we keep adding without realizing it. So the extreme solutions are don't touch it, it works. But this means not helping the business and instead making it stagnating or falling behind competitors. Or the alternative is to rebuild everything. But this is an expensive game and risky and doesn't really finish. So is the business stuck with fear to change, or do we overreact and create a rewrite of everything? And at that time, of course, there is a third opportunity we have ahead of us, which is to explore new patterns of writing system or building system. And there is one that's come as an obvious contender. It's called a microservice. Microservices are extremely powerful, scaling, enabling deployment independently performed, and we can assign one team per component, and each team can create the feature evolving separately and concurrently, so that we end up having faster turnaround and more secure, because there is less things to change for a given component. There is less code surface. But these microservices are, although they are a very, very powerful solution, they come at a cost because of the infrastructure that is required and because of the complexity inherent to this component talking to one another. So instead, I have myself built a plug-and-play feature strategy that keep the core stable as it is once the install is performed, subsequently keep the system more upgradable because nothing is touched from it, and yet has the ability to get some add-ons added to it, but from the outside. These add-ons can be replaced, upgraded, and removed safely. They are small components, each one at a time is small code surface, and therefore has each quite a simple roadmap assigned to it, making each of these components some places where we have the same benefits as microservices. And for this, I have come up with 3 examples that I introduced tonight. I've come up with the store finder as a first example that did sound obvious to me when I started this experience. The store finder is very common in eShop, and the data for it, I have observed that they do not belong to the core journey of the eShop. Meaning, if you have an eShop and you want your customer to sell, then there is no need to have a store finder. However, if you do have a store finder, besides having your web user to be able to purchase and visit product, it can also gain awareness of the opening time of your store, locations, and the likes. So there is no doubt that this feature is well received, but the intention to keep it outside of the core is so that these data that have nothing to do with the core can remain outside and therefore don't create burden into the core database. Same goes with the API. Store Finder uses Google Map API, and having this API integrated into a core has no real needs apart from being used into the Store Finder. Therefore, isolating it into this one component enables me to separate my concern into this one widget. And the final is my widget needs search for stores to be performed, but this should not hinder the performance of my core site. And these three observations together makes it a good contender to design this store finder in a way that is completely isolated, like microservices do. Now, the second example I've taken is a banner, a homepage banner. So, homepage banner are commonly seen on the homepage, and they are quite popular, even though often they have been seen as creating loss of performance on home pages. So we tend to see them with heavy compressions and we just and a lot of shops do compromise having loss of performance because this banner is a good marketing product basically. But having it inside a widget has been for me the opportunity to deliver this feature inside a widget, an isolated environment, but encapsulating all this concern of heavy, high damaging performance artifact to be separated to the core. And as a conclusion, I can enable my marketing team to experiment with banners much more practically, much more easily, because when the deployment of the banner needs to happen, it doesn't require a deployment of the core system. Finally, in terms of performance, I have achieved extremely good result with banner with widgets in general by mounting them after the first paint was completed. And so these two widgets were very successful. Now I have finally challenged myself onto a third development, a booking system. Now that might come as a surprise because in an e-shop we don't see commonly a booking system. So I've taken this example more to integrate it into blogs or any system in general, any web presence in general. And what I found is this booking system is very complex because the data for it are a genuine schema with many tables and relationship between one another. The UX for the booking system is complex, having to enabling the user to choose a category of services, staff of the team to attend to the meeting that I want to book. And so this sort of system is delivering a lot of features for my system, but it's also demanding for me as a developer to deliver. And therefore, mixing this data with my core system, or worse, mixing all this UX complexity into my core system would have meant integrating a lot of technical debt right away in this system. So the payoff of having introduced these widgets into my core in this way has enabled me to perform faster changes on each of the widgets because they are not intertwined anymore with the core. It has enabled me to make safer updates of my core system, and leading to have overall the costs of my system is now more predictable because I am handling smaller code surface on each of the components involved in my overall system. The upgrades have become easier because the core is more as it was originally. And the technical debt are less likely because each system is smaller to think of. The tests are more likely to be remaining up to date overall. And this is the end of my talk, and I hope you have many questions for me. Thank you for watching.